These are the signs that you need to decline that job offer because you're about to walk into a really bad situation and you're going to end up hating your job. And the very first sign that you should decline your job offer is if you're going to have a bad manager. Now, it's kind of hard to tell if your manager is going to be good or bad because you haven't worked for them quite yet. But your manager is actually the most important part of your job because they control your pay, they control your promotions, and they control your overall level of happiness. Because even if the company culture is good, if your manager is just a jerk, then you're still going to hate your job. But not to worry, here are some key questions that you need to be asking your potential boss to see if they are actually going to be a good fit for you. Once you get your job offer, don't be afraid to ask them questions like, have you ever had formal manager training? Have you ever helped someone get a promotion before? What are one of the things that you admire about your favorite boss? Now, not every company offers former manager training, but the ones that do definitely know that managers are an important part of your job, and typically those are the safer managers to go and work for. Now, if your manager has never helped someone get promoted before, then that's also a flag that you may want to consider. And you should listen to how they talk about their favorite boss and why it makes them their favorite boss, because hopefully they're going to be taking those same attributes and using it in their own leadership style and making sure that this is a good fit for you. Also, if you're not even able to meet your potential manager, like let's say your future employer uses pooled hiring and you never get to talk to your hiring manager before you accept the job, that's also a potential sign that you should decline. Now, the next sign to potentially decline your offer is if they're making you big promises to make you join, like they're promising a fast promotion, or they're promising that they're going to give you a nice big raise to make up for the fact that they weren't able to pay you what you want. Remember, these promises are not legally enforceable because they cannot put them in any employment agreement and they are hard to enforce legally. So you could be setting yourself up for failure, and this is just a really big risk. So if you're only accepting this job purely based on a promise that you'll get a promotion or they'll fix your pay later on, it could be a red flag. The next sign to decline the offer is if you're being set up for failure in your new role. So for example, if they're giving you a really bad sales territory, or they're making you work on the worst product, or they're giving you a really difficult client to manage. You could be taking a backfill for someone who literally just left that job because they were set up for failure and they realized it. So you want to make sure you do your homework. So try to talk to other people on the team and get a sense of what your work is, what your scope is, what your territory is, what your clients are like. Another sign to decline your offer is if the company has bad benefits, and you need to look at things beyond the medical, vision, and dental because most companies are pretty decent in those categories. You want to look at some of the benefits like their 401k matching, or if they have ESPP, or if they have any other perks that are incentivizing people to stay there for the long run and to be happy and to invest in themselves. At my last company, for example, their 401k matching was 0.25%, which is basically nothing, and you had to work there for 4 years or you get nothing, which basically tells you that they know that most people won't stay there for even 4 years. And even if they did, they're not even giving you that much money because they don't think it's worth it. And then of course you have companies that have amazing perks and benefits, and so those are the types of companies that typically tend to have higher retention rates and lower attrition. Next, similar to what I mentioned before, if your job offer is for a role that's a backfill, that by itself could be a sign that you may want to do some investigation and your spidey senses should be tingling. Now, this sign alone doesn't mean that you need to decline the job offer because it could still be a very good job. After all, sometimes people who like their jobs end up leaving them just because they found a better opportunity somewhere else. But there's also a good majority of the time where most people leave a job or quit a job because they didn't like it for some reason. So make sure you're doing your homework, and the way to check if this is a good backfill job or a bad backfill job is to talk to the people that you're going to be working with or talk to your potential teammates outside of the interview process. So after you get the job offer, try to have a coffee chat or an informational call with them and get them to open up a little bit about what this role is truly like and if they have any insights onto why the person had left. Another sign to potentially decline the offer is if the company just did a round of layoffs. Now, don't listen to whatever marketing and sales pitch those recruiters are telling you about why it's a safe company to join. If they just did layoffs in, let's say, the last 3 months, I honestly recommend you wait before you accept that job offer because you don't know if they're done with their layoffs or if another round is coming. I think you should wait at least 6 months after a company has done layoffs before you're joining. This way you can ensure that they probably aren't going to be doing another one for a while and they've already stabilized. And as we've seen in the tech sector this year, companies do multiple rounds of layoffs, typically within 3 to 4 months of each other. So you're going to want to wait for that cool down period. Because usually when there are layoffs, they're going to be laying off the people who joined last in, first out, mostly because they know you're being paid the most out of everybody on the team. And also, you don't have a lot of tenure within the company, and they'd much rather be loyal to the people that have stuck with them. Another bad sign that you may not want to join a company is if they give you an exploding offer, or they tell you that their offer expires in 24 hours and their compensation package is non-negotiable. This should be a huge red flag because they're basically saying that they've got a bunch of other candidates lined up and they don't really care if you accept the job offer or not because they're just going to give it to somebody else the next day. And this also basically means that they don't really value you or care if you join the team or not because they're just going to find somebody else in a short period of time. This is especially true if you tell them that you don't have any other competing offers and you just need more time to talk to the team and figure out if the role is a good fit. And if they still tell you that, nope, you have 24 hours and then the offer's gone, then it truly means that they really don't care about you and you could be walking into a really bad situation. Next, if that company or that manager makes you feel like you're the lucky one to even get a job offer or even to get to work for them, then that's not a good culture that you want to be in. It's not servant leadership, and it basically shows you that it's a top-down mentality and your manager really doesn't care that much about you or invests in your career growth. Also, from my experience, highly arrogant leadership teams tend to operate more like a dictatorship, and that's not a good culture for everybody. Okay, so if you're seeing multiple of these signs before you accept your job offer, you probably don't want to take it. But why don't you put down in the comments below, what are some red flags that you had maybe missed when you had joined a company in a bad situation? Thank you all for watching, and don't be afraid to shake things up.